I talked about this previously where I showed you China's Secretary of Education, but I want to show you someone else. Like, just for example, Korea is currently if you do like school rankings, Korea's #1 in the world. Again, there's problems with some of these nations where they perform incredibly well on tests, but there's a lot of pressure. There's a higher suicide rate. But this guy is a serious man. He's got 3 degrees in economics, bachelor's and master's from the best university in Korea, and a doctorate from Cornell. And then I would mention that our current Secretary of Education is Linda McMahon of the WWE. She was in WrestleMania 7. The reason I bring that up again is because she just had a speech where she talked about how technology is changing lives for students. She's saying she's heard a report that kids in first grade, kindergarten will have A1 teaching. And she'll explain.
Pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. And that's a wonderful thing. Kids are...
I'm assuming she means A1 top-notch teaching. I assume she means like top tier. Let's see if she clarifies.
Wasn't all that long ago that we're going to have internet in our schools. Whoop. Now, okay, let's see A1 and how...
She means AI. She means AI. This is our Secretary of Education in this country. This is the biggest issue in education right now. We have ChatGPT cheating rampant through all of grade school, high school, and college. And our Secretary of Education doesn't even know it's called AI. She thinks it's A1. It's just beyond cooked. I cannot debate this on a principal merit. This is incompetence at the highest, deepest level. Now, I love steak sauce as much as the next guy, but much like a well-done steak, we are cooked. We are in a country where 60% of people aren't reading at a 6th grade level. And instead of addressing that, we have this woman's face. She's holding in the laugh. Oh, A1, dude. My jaw dropped when I saw that clip. I couldn't believe that was real. It's intentional. And dude, it's so funny. People that say this are almost as bad. You just have the same level of conspiracy theory brain rot. No, it's not. It's just Occam's razor. You can actually just follow that. They just go off the news from the last day. There is no plan. That is the scariest part, actually. There is no plan. It is just incompetence. There's no 400D chess. Every single rationale given for almost all these decisions, but especially the tariffs, gets thrown away the second they switch to a new strategy. It gets pivoted. First, it was for an external revenue service, but now there's no money coming in. It was gonna get rid of the income tax. It was gonna bring iPhone jobs to America, but that's got exempted. It was gonna rebalance trade with every other country, but now it's only on China. Now it's all part of a plan to contain China. By the way, again, I know we forget about things more than 2 years old, but there was a plan in 2014 to create a free trade network with the USA and every major Asian trading economy. Japan, South Korea, I think India who else was in it? And it was called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. It was every country but China. We were gonna create a network that boxed out China and left USA as one of the dominant trading partners in Asia. The first thing Trump did in 2016 is get us out of TPP. And now we are 8 years later and $1 short and trying to, in the aggregate, recreate TPP. But only after pissing off every one of these countries. We're in a worse negotiating position. We pissed off all these countries and now we're trying to tariff them 10%, but also get them to agree to create some sort of network that boxes in China. It's just stupid, man. And it's frustrating me because I can't say this 10 times. Like I say it once. I've said it. What else do I want to say? I'm getting annoyed. I just want to play Blueprints now. It's just frustrating. Hey, big my crowdfunded board game company is not liking these tariffs. Don't worry, I got the plans for my American factory since these tariffs are not going to last. Are going to last. I don't know if you're joking or not, but I do want to bring up the tweet I made today because there's been a big update in the world of tariffs. A little timeline here, right? First, we had no tariffs, right? And then we had massive tariffs on the entire world. Okay. And then the market reacted appropriately, total chaos and panic. And so Trump blinked and he said, well, not the whole world, mostly China, but 10% on the world. And then things didn't get better. Things didn't get better. I mean, they briefly got better. They started getting worse again. And then he said, we're waiting on a call from Xi Jinping, and Xi Jinping didn't call. And they started panicking. And then all the businesses started calling Trump, including Apple. Tim Cook had like 14 calls with the White House, basically saying, hey, this is gonna fuck us over. You have to change it. And then so today we got massive tariff on China still, except for computers, microchips, and phones. Interesting. I wonder if those happen to be the single most exported things from China. Like number one and number two by far. So now we have a massive tariff on China that doesn't apply to any of the big businesses that import from China, laptops and computers. So you know what the number three thing is imported from China after computers, phones? It's toys / puzzles. So we aren't protecting our smartphone industry or computer industry. It's a little bit odd. I wasn't sure what the point of these were. I thought when I listened to Howard Lutnick just a few days ago, he told me,
remember the army of millions and millions of human beings screwing in little screws to make iPhones. That kind of thing is going to come to America. It's going to be automated, and great Americans, the trade craft of America, is going to fix them, is going to work on them. They're going to be mechanics. There's going to be HVAC specialists.
So I thought the iPhone was coming to America. So I started studying how to build iPhone. I was ChatGPTing it, dude. I don't know how to work the little screwdriver, but I wanted to learn because I thought that the job was coming here. And then not but a few days later, suddenly, out of the blue, we have an exemption for computers and phones. So I guess those industries are fine to stay in China, those high-tech ones, but we will get to keep trying to claw back the cheap toy industry. And you know what's crazy is that these tariffs only apply to the finished good. So if you are an American computer company that imports parts from China and then builds the laptop, well, that's fucking expensive. You can't get the parts. But if you buy the full laptop from China, that's no tariff at all. So all we've done is subsidize China's laptop industry. In a way, this tariff is literally destroying American competition to make Chinese complete computers and phones better. Dude, I cannot overstate the level of incompetence. I was talking with Adish about this. I just want to say this. I'm kind of going a little bit mask off because there's nothing else to say about the way these tariffs have been handled. It's complete top to bottom incompetence, no 5D chess. It's like Roman Emperor Nero level cell phone. I was talking to Adish and I said, I honestly thought this year I would have to have a more balanced clips channel or something. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was gonna have to like have some clips that are like, oh, that's a good point. And then some that are like, there's nothing. I've been giving nothing to work with. This is deep, lasting structural damage to the country I live in. Every single thing gets like randomly said, thrown out. They have a reason that doesn't really make sense, but then they don't even stick to the reason, then it walked back. And these exemptions, you know, again, I want you to understand again, what's going on here is like in a world where there are 0 tariffs or 400% tariffs, but everything is exempt, there's no difference, right? Theoretically. But there's actually one major difference. The difference is that everybody has to call and beg and have favors and tricks to the leader to get on the exemption list. So it's just a more corrupt world. All it is like the big insider companies like Apple, who have connections and money, can call and get on the exemption list. So they're still working. But any small business that doesn't have that is and so trade is still happening with China. Jobs aren't coming back. But now there's like this weird middleman through the government that have extra power on. And 2 things happen with this deal that are also disgusting. One is that a bunch of people, we have a ton of insider call buying on Apple right before they get exempted. And this happened before the last tariff announcement. Not only is this creating this huge uncertainty premium that makes all US assets less valuable, it makes every single stock and our debt and everything less valuable because everybody has to price in a level of uncertainty because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We are also seeing just mass corruption of like every time one of these moves gets announced, somebody's getting rich off of it with insider knowledge. It's just frustrating. You know, we're having insider trading and we're having corruption, and also tariffs don't make sense. Everything they say they're for keeps getting walked back. Howard Lutnick literally is making an ass of himself saying we're going to bring iPhone jobs, and then the iPhone's the one thing that's exempt. But the parts aren't, so you can't even make your own here. But anyway, I guess this will bring back cheap toy making jobs. At the rate we're going, bro, we're going to be making cheap shirts for China. We're going to be making cheap shirts for China. China will rise up the value chain. They'll make all the complete tech products, and we can open our sweatshops here to make shirts for them. It'll be awesome. That'll be great. At the same time, you know, I'm not even I told you sewing this, but like, we are seeing a repricing of the world reserve currency away from the USD into essentially right now gold. We don't know what else it'll be. Countries are not holding the dollar. The dollar keeps devaluing, and they're putting it into the one stable tradable asset. I don't know, man. They're just, everything is, what I'm trying to say is like, it's backfiring even more than you'd imagine. It's backfiring not just on the tariffs, it's backfiring to the point where even if you remove the tariffs, it's almost too late. It's not just the tariffs now, it is now this uncertainty premium that is applied. It's everyone getting out because of risk. It is a risk of incompetence factor that is that is so baked into the assets. And just speaking of incompetence, I talked about this before, but man, did I get a example today. US made electronics pay duties on imported material parts, but imports of the full electronics that contain the same material and parts are exempt. This is a China subsidy, moving US industry from high value added into socks and lettuce. It's wild. And what I'm saying is small businesses like this guy.
All right, I hate asking for help. I'm not asking for any handouts, but I'm a small business owner that is directly being affected by the 104% tariff. I import alloy wheels for cars. At 104%, I am absolutely going to implode and will not last 6 months.
I feel terrible for that guy. It's so incompetent. Like the idea that that guy who's buying cheap wheels made in China and then creating the value added larger structure and then selling that is bad for America, and that we need to tariff that is insane. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's easy to get like Schadenfreude or, you know, get a feeling of, haha, you had it coming for leopards at your own face stuff. But I generally think, I don't even care if you have empathy or not. I just think some of you are like, you think you're heroic. Like you're fighting the enemy. And I feel like you're like Donald Trump's greatest recruiters. I feel like you're like, you work for him. I feel like you do your best to make sure no one can ever cross the line or ever. I seriously think you guys are like his biggest help, his biggest asset in the world when you say something like that. But I'm not going to get too into it. Anyway, what I wanted to say was, so many people are being hurt by this. Not just that guy. Again, I was talking with a guy who owns a small business in LA who imports like light bulbs and fixtures and sockets and then builds these beautiful light pieces, like these custom light pieces for like hotels and big business lobbies and things like that. They're I mean, if the tariffs don't change, they're and they don't have an insider call the way Tim Cook does to call and get an exemption, which we got for, again, the whole point of this, if there was any point at all, would be to bring the high value, high tech industries to America. Chips, computers, high end stuff. Instead, we are exempting those things because that'll hurt the market. Not only is it dumb, but it's also cowardly. He's also shown that he has no backbone or spine for his own negotiating position and is actually going to be a panicking. He actually backs down the second there's any pressure. It's an L on both fronts. Is tech from other countries still tariffed? Every other country is tariffed at 10%. All their tariffs have been paused outside of China. Though I think a lot of the tariffs haven't even been collected yet. As I've seen the timeline, you know, it's just Trump, tariff China, China retaliates, Trump, bigger tariff on China, China retaliates. Trump says, I want Xi Jinping to call me. China does nothing, doesn't call him. Trump says, I'm ready to make a deal. China doesn't do anything. Then, masterful gambit, Trump rolls back the tariffs on China's two largest traded items. I don't even have a dumb leader. I have a leader with no spine. I got a leader that can't even, who says like, don't worry, we'll get through this. We have to do a little pain for, he doesn't even believe it. It's just making my country significantly weaker in a very short period of time. Rip or dip tomorrow? Nobody knows the answer to that question, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a rally, especially among tech stocks, with everything being exempt. But the longer term trend is negative because of the uncertainty. Like there's going to be a bunch of little daily headline scatters, but the trend is negative because people are just repricing all American assets for political risk. This is what they do for like emerging market countries. What's happening when your yields are whenever your cost of borrowing is rising and your currency is plummeting? That only happens in like emerging markets going through like deep political instability, where business people cannot predictably rely on what's going to happen. There's too much risk of just political uncertainty, of things being applied by the government. So it's bad, dude. It's bad. I sincerely expected to have to argue more with ideas on news and in clips, and I have to like break down why I didn't think certain things would work. What I'm finding more and more is that I'm just arguing with total deranged incompetence. Like there's no strategy. There's no plan. Dude, I saw this post. This is so good. This is from a few days ago. China has 3 options. Concede defeat to whatever terms Trump demands. Devalue the yuan by 20 to 40%. Unleash the biggest fiscal stimulus in history, talking 2-3 trillion, which will push its debt off the chart. Option 4, not listed. Wait 3 days. Option 4, wait 3 days, 72 hours. And without a call, it'll back down. I don't know. And then the fact that, Tim Cook donates $1 million to the inauguration. He's there in person. And then every small business that imports shit from China is fucked, but he gets to make the phone call. And, and now Apple's exempt. Yup, trap. I don't blame Tim Cook at all. Tim Cook is the supply chain master. He knew that he had to spend $1 million because he knew this was going to happen. It's not Tim Cook's fault for adapting his business to the insane banana republic environment we're in. I'm letting Tim cook. It's just frustrating that the guy we watched earlier, he can't make that call. The guy I talked to in person 2 days ago, who runs the lighting business, he can't make that call. But Tim Cook can. Aiden will make the calls. I mean, hopefully Aiden can make the call for Mogul merch. God willing, Aiden can get Trump on the horn and get an exemption for hoodies that have Slime's face on it. But Ludwig will need to wear a MAGA hat on stream. That's the environment we're in, where everybody has to go and ask for favors or give favors to the leadership. It's just, there's this big government middleman now. Yeah, it's cronyism. And at the same time, this new headline comes out, someone is bought ahead of time. So someone has insider knowledge. I barely even bring that up because that's like shockingly so low on the list of problems. There's like a couple people making a few million off insider trading, but it's just annoying. It's just annoying that every one of these headlines has someone front running it, and you can see it. You can see them buying calls right before the headline goes out. I guess last thing, dude, I'm kind of just summing up I think I'm crashing out a bit. I'm just crashing out a bit. Because I've already said this, right? The problem is I don't like to repeat myself too much. And I feel like if someone's watched the clips or whatever, they know my stance on these things. But I think the exemption today, I think it really made it clear that there not only is no plan, I kind of knew that, but that there's no spine on the lack of plan, which is not just clear to me. It is clear to every world leader now that anything he acts tough on, they know that if there's a financial or marketplace backlash, he will not be able to hold his ground. It adds a lot of uncertainty and risk into a market that I have already for months felt was recessionary, that we've already had spending slowdowns. We've already had fewer and fewer good job opportunities, more and more like gig work, more and more. I've been saying this for a while, but specifically since the Slowly All at Once video. And so to go into that powder keg, I already thought it would be like, this is unstable. But these type of actions make it so it can go dramatically wrong. And it can go so much, things can break. Like we can have real deep structural cracks in the financial system with this level of uncertainty. It's just a big repricing that has to go on. At the same time, dude, one of the things that's very near and dear to me that I talk about so much is the unsustainability of our debt. And it is, again, frustrating to have an administration that talked so much about balancing it do the exact opposite. It is only getting worse. And this is not the environment we want to be in when we're going to have to print to bail out a broken system. Again, the Federal Reserve just said 2 days ago that they're ready and willing to do all means necessary to backstop the system or whatever. They were trying to calm markets, but it just made markets more scared. Because if the Federal Reserve is saying that means we're almost at an oh shit moment. We're almost at a moment where we have to print money to buy our own debt. And when you're doing that, when you're in like that late Japan phase, and we're already at 120% debt to GDP running, 2.6 trillion run rate deficits, it's just not possible. It's going to destroy the currency. I mean, it's just going to, the dollar will start getting dramatically worse quickly. And it's already getting worse, dude. Anyway, I need to have more to say than this sucks. Right now, it's also new that I'm just telling you it sucks. If you're American, it sucks. If you're not American, it probably sucks for you. If you live in the West, it probably sucks for you. It's going to cause economic pain that's going to ripple outside of America. Maybe if you're paid in Swiss franc, you're kind of like, this is cool. I'm doing my best to really sound the alarm on this specifically. You know, I really think this is the one thing that is very convenient for everyone to ignore and will lead to pain. And I want to try and look for a candidate or a solution who really takes this seriously, not just says it, but really takes it seriously. Because this is, if you look at history, this always ends in disaster. Always. Real pain for regular people. That's where I'm at. So I'll be keeping my eye open. I really am. I'm watching and trying to find who I feel really comfortable throwing my support behind. Because I'm hoping for someone who, you know, I definitely want someone with strong moral character as a given, but I also want someone who understands this and can give it the deep focus it deserves. Like, this is not a joke. Yeah, I think it's probably Squeaks or Clint Stevens, right? Maybe a Squeaks, Clint Stevens. Clint would give one executive order every 2 years. He's a real Reaganite, dude. He's a real small government.